Hello, everybody. Welcome to the cafe. Oh my goodness. I am super duper excited because, guys, we get to have tea time with none other than LaQuette. She already know when I'm excited, I sing. LaQuette, welcome to the cafe, my friend. Not only that, we get to hang out with Merlana. Guys, she is an amazing book of vlogger. She's hanging out with us too, guys. We're going to share about, y'all ready for this? Designs on a rancher. I don't know about you guys, but Merlana, girl, I like to had a fit when I read this book. I mean, LaQuette, she just kind of like hit us with a headliner that meet cute. It had me all up. I had to inbox her. Let me just tell you, I'm gonna spill the tea. I had to inbox her. I know she was in her writing cave, but I had to say, LaQuette, really? This how you gonna do
No,
me?
I was
How you
in my
gonna do
bed
me?
from being up all night writing when I got your message. I was like, this is a
I love
wonderful
it.
way to wake
I
up.
love it. So, guys, welcome to Tea Time. Oh my goodness, we have Tiffany Jones of Tiff's Happy Place hanging out with us on today as well. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for hanging out with us, guys. You know how we do it here. Like, tag, and share. Tell a friend to come on down to the cafe because we about to spill some tea about LaQuette latest book, Designs on a Rancher. But of course, before we get started, we're going to introduce ourselves to you guys, let you know what we're rocking today and what we're drinking for this tea time. Let's see, we're going to start with Merlana. Please introduce yourself to the people, my friend. This is my girl, LaQuette. This is my girl.
I'm Marlena. I'm on Instagram. I am Facts from Fiction on Instagram. I'm a book blogger and just a book fanatic, really. Mostly Black romance. But today, I don't know if I'm telling you what I'm drinking already, Angela. You know what? I'm trying to be better about my life. So I just have water today
Okay.
instead of iced coffee. I'm trying to take a break from the iced coffee. Not really, but kind of. And then my shirt today, I don't know if you can see it. It says bookmarks are for quitters because they are. I actually never use my bookmarks, but yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Oh my goodness. And of course, guys, she needs no introduction. The one and only in the house hanging out at the cafe, guys. Author LaQuette. Introduce
Oh,
yourself, my
wow.
friend.
Thank you. I am LaQuette and I write sexy, and sensational romance. That pretty much means I write like Hallmark movies, but with lots of sex. And I mean, it is what it is. And I'm so happy to be here today to talk about Designs on a Rancher.
I love it. And LaQuette, they're giving you love out there. We got Ola Lawson hanging out with us on today.
Hey,
Jennifer
everyone.
Copeland from Jenny's Cozy's Books, guys. She hanging
Hey.
out with us on today. Author Sharon Blunt hanging out with us on today as well, guys. You know what? We're not even gonna like really prolong this because it's so much goodness that I want to talk about. You guys know I'm Angela Anderson of Angela's Literary Cafe, guys, and I am drinking my hot lemon tea on today in my Angela Anderson Presents mug. Shout out to Lady Lioness Handsmaid, aka author Dora Avery. She did this mug for me. And guys, also Lady Lioness Handmade book Nerdigan. This is a long sleeve tee, guys. It's so comfortable. Shout out to her. Let me just tell you, if you are looking for book items and stuff like that, things to wear, mugs to drink out of, definitely check out Lady Lioness Handmade. Like I said, aka author Dora Avery. Check out her book list as well. She is just amazing. So that's what I am rocking on today, as well as what I'm drinking. Okay, so LaQuette.
Yes.
So before we get into the goodness, okay, we can't like just rush past this cover that's on the hot tamale train. Okay, please share with us. Okay. I'm gonna let you share about it because, girl. Okay.
Well, I mean, I can't take much credit for the cover. That is completely Harlequin's art department. They really are amazing. And what Harlequin has is this really detailed form that authors have to fill out with respect to their cover art. And it's basically where they want you to basically break down exactly physically what your characters look like. They also want you to provide them with inspiration images. They want you to describe like three really important scenes in the book, and they also they get so down to the nitty gritty that even as an author, the person who wrote the book, I still have to sit back and think like, how do I describe this? Like, how do I make them understand this? And I can tell you that they come through 99% of the time. They come through, and I literally got this in my inbox, and they usually it. I don't know if where they are in Canada is the same time zone as I am, but it always comes like, crack of dawn in the morning. And so I'll get up, and one of the first things I do is check my email to sort of see if I have, what I have to do for the day or how I have to sort of schedule my day. And I see that it's there. So I'm like, oh, let's go see what this looks like. And I was floored. So shout out to Harlequin, because the especially for the heroine, like the model for the heroine, in my head, I was writing Tabria Majors. And that is who this model resembles. I don't think it really is Tabria Majors, but I'm gonna claim it because that's how close the likeness is. And I think if Tabria saw this, she'd have to question if she actually did the shoot. And literally, this is, the hero is, so delicious. And that hat, like, it's just something about a cowboy hat. I don't even like Westerns, but give me a man in a cowboy hat and I will read that book or watch that movie. Not because I really care about the historical attachment to it, but it just looks so good on him. And so this character, this cover art, I just can't say enough about it. Harlequin is always chef's kiss when it comes down to their covers. I cannot complain.
Yes. I fell in love with this cover. Marlena, what about you? When you saw this cover, my friend, what was your reaction?
So I actually text one of my friends about the book, and I was like, girl, look at this cover. Girl. That's all I could say was girl. But more so than the cover, honestly, once I opened it up in the dedication, as soon as I read the dedication, I already knew, like, just stop. I'm gonna stop whatever I'm doing and read this book. For me, I love a strong female character with like strong personality. She say what's on her mind because that's me. And so at the dedication, girl, you had me at the cover. But the dedication, I was like, that's it. It's a wrap.
I definitely can relate to that. I am very much a strong-willed person who speaks what's on their mind. Sometimes to my own detriment, but it is what it is. And I've always I have a really, really difficult but strained relationship with my father when it comes to like how women are supposed to act, because he's a lovely man, but he is very, very old fashioned in his ideology about what women should be. And I'm always in his face just telling him, yeah, you're wrong. Yeah, don't care about what you have to say about any of that. And there's a lot of women who really believe that women should not have so much control over their own lives or have any say. And as we can see, that's going on in the world right now, even conversations that are still being had that, our mothers and grandmothers have been arguing these points since their time. And so whenever I can, my job as a writer is to subvert all of the things that I find problematic. So when I hear people, especially like when you're doom scrolling through social media, you're bored, you have nothing to do, and you scrolling through social media, and you see these people, all these conversations from these podcasters and the like, talking about why women can't get ahead, and it's usually not a woman on the podcast. Mm-hmm. It's only a very specific type of man that's having this conversation. And I'm like, that's a whole lot. Like, I can have it all. Like, mm-hmm. I can be brazen and bold and brave and strong, but I can also be delicate and soft, and when I choose to, submissive. Mm-hmm. And I think that what people are missing in that equation is the choice, right? That it's a choice, and every woman should have the choice when and where and how they're going to be. And Keely is definitely like one of those women where she loves her. I mean, everything
Yeah.
about her, society says she shouldn't love, right? She's a plus size woman. She's a Black woman. She's from Brooklyn, grew up in Marcy Projects. Everything about who she is says that she should not be successful and that she should not be loved. And she
Yeah.
just bursts out onto the scene like she's not asking anybody to love her. She loves herself. And she's unapologetic about it. And even when she's trying to be nice, when Jacob pushes her buttons to a point where she's like, you know what, I tried to be nice, but you gonna make me curse you out. She has no problems with taking it there. And I think that, you know, writing characters like that are always fun for me because it's an opportunity to show people that women who are being an independent woman or being a woman who is strong-willed or has a very clear vision of what she wants her life to be, that has nothing to do with being lovable. That has nothing to do with being approachable, right? If ever we're at an event and you meet my husband, he's extremely quiet, right? And people assume because I'm mouth almighty and I'm the one that's, you know, in the public eye and, you know, constantly yipper yappering, that I run all over him. It is the total opposite when we get home. And why? Because I don't have to carry the world when I'm outside, when I'm home, right? When I'm home, when I'm out in the world, I have to literally carry the world and let people know what my boundaries are and what I will and won't tolerate. But at home, you know, he's very protective of me. He's very protective of our space at home. So I don't have to be, you know, Wonder Woman when I'm home. I can lay around and be delicate and curl up on the couch.
And guys, if you're wondering what we're talking about, LaQuette, I mean, you know, she hit us with a headline of her dedication. It says, to all my ladies who are bosses, this is a reminder that you can and deserve to have it all. So that's what Marlena was speaking of. And as she said, you know, from the cover to the dedication, it's like, okay, I'm in. I love that. Guys, if you are just joining us, we are hanging out with the one and only author LaQuette. We are talking about her latest release, guys. We're going to spill a little bit of tea, I promise you, about designs on a rancher. And we are hanging out with book blogger Marlena as well. And I wanted to make sure you saw this, LaQuette. You know, Tiffany, that's your New York buddy.
I feel you.
Yeah. And then she said, we're not for everybody.
We are not for everybody. It is true. Folks don't like us because we speak our mind. That's your business. My job is not to worry about whether you like me. My job is to worry about whether I like me. And so often, if I have to choose between me liking me and you liking me, guess what? It's no competition.
I love that. And Ola, yes, it is actually available in print. So it's available in ebook and print copy as well. We'll definitely be sharing how you can get a copy. But of course, you know, you can go to where books are sold and get you a copy. You can, of course, you know, go to Amazon, all that good stuff. But ebook and print,
Go to Designs on a Rancher.
Get it. Yes, it is available for that, guys. And this is also a part of the Texas Cattleman. Y'all know I love me a good Texas Cattleman. It's a part of a Texas Cattleman series as well. So thank you for asking that, Ola. Okay, guys, are you guys ready to like get in? I am. I got like so much I want to talk about this book. And if you've read it, guys, you totally understand the title. You totally understand the title, Designs on a Rancher, or what have you. But okay, LaQuette, can we talk about this meet cute? Because is that the beginning? Can we talk about this meet cute, Marlena? When my girl stepped out the car, all he saw was legs. Okay, all he saw was legs. Brother was gone. He didn't even see nothing else. Of course, she's gorgeous, guys, but that's all he saw. And it's kind of like, Jacob is he's kind of a grump, but not a grump. He's all about his work and stuff like that. He likes his alone time. He likes his space. So let's just say that, you know, Keely comes on the scene. And so he's already he already feeling some type of way because y'all know how friends are. So his friend comes over and like, okay, man, I need a favor, you know, and it's one of his good friends. So he knows he's gonna give him a favor, but he like, really, dude, really, really, So he like, okay, as long as she stay out my way, all this good stuff, she can come. He gets out to the car, and I'm giving y'all the short version, okay? Because you got to read, because LaQuette is very descriptive, and you be all in. You feeling like you there. Marlena probably felt the same way. So she pulls up, guys, and the boss chick that she is steps out. Well, get a leg out, and it's over. It's over for him. LaQuette, I'm gonna need some conversation. Marlena, what was your, and the way y'all see how I'm hyped right now? I was hyped when I was reading this. Marlena, what was your, when you read that meet cute?
You know what though? This it'll do it to you, because when I read it, my husband was sitting in the living room watching TV, not worried about me. And I'm like, babe, listen. So how about and he already know what I say. So how about I'm about to talk about a book. So I said, how about this guy was like not interested at all in this lady coming to his house until she stepped out of the car with that thigh-high leather boot on, and all he saw was a boot. Everything's like in my head, it like went in slow motion. Everything stopped. He was just stuck. As soon as he saw the boot, he didn't need to see nothing else. I'm like, and my husband was like, oh, so he forgot about everything else that he said. I said, exactly.
Exactly. Oh my goodness!
That's pretty much how it
two
was.
of your reader fans, their reaction at that meet cute, and guys, this is the beginning of the meet cute. I mean, the rest of it is super cuteness too, and hotness, as well. If you can blend them together. But LaQuette, what's your thoughts of that from seeing our reaction of just that little scene?
Well, I think if any man is like my husband that I've written, it would be probably Jacob. My husband has that sort of grumpy-ish thing about him. He's not a grump completely, but he does like his solid, alone time. He likes to really have time to think in quiet and focus on the things he needs to focus on. And a lot of people who aren't used to that can really take that as him being antisocial or not wanting, or just sometimes even having a superiority complex. Like people will take it as, oh, he don't want to be around anybody. He thinks he's too good. You know how we do. And and it's not that. It's just he really does require that solace to be able to sort of think through everything, because he's a very thoughtful person. And I wanted Jacob to be something like that. Like I didn't want him to be just, annoying and just basically, for lack of a better word, a dick for no reason. But I wanted him to be someone that had a lot going on his mind, a lot that he had to really think about, and where his focus needed to be in other places. So it couldn't really be filled up a lot with people, so to speak. And as someone, if you're living on the ranch, my assumption is that you are used to, by nature of how ranches are, just the landscape of them.
Yeah.
It's spacious, right? It's not crowded. And your next neighbor could be like 20 miles away, depending on how big your property is. So he would be someone who is, by the nature of his work and the way he grew up, who is used to his own company. And if you don't, like, I wanted people to sort of understand that about him. And when he and Keely meet, he's got a lot going on. Like he too has some really serious work concerns going on. He's about to elevate his business as well. And so he really needs to prepare for all of that. And having someone in his mind who is this high sedity chick from the city coming in and, just rearranging his space and getting in his way, like he just does not have the emotional energy to deal with that. And so in his head, he's like, I don't need this. And my friend Tripp is lucky I love him, because if I didn't, this would not go down like this. And then he sees her, and even though he's attracted to her by just that one leg, he's still mad she's there, because he's like, damn it, my friend told me that this wasn't going to be a problem, that she wasn't going to bother me. And I'm already attracted to her. So I know for damn sure she's going to bother me, because I want to be around her and I need to be doing other things. So he's still mad, and he has an attitude for the ages by the time they actually come face to face, because he's not
Yes.
because she's done anything to him, but his peace has been disturbed by his friend lying to him, telling him that this chick wasn't gonna be a problem,
Right.
from his reaction to her, because he should know better than to be attracted to someone like her who is just so big and bright and bold. And when I say big and bright and bold, I'm not talking about her physical size.
Right.
I'm talking about her personality. Like Keely is very, very, she has this big personality that sort of
Yeah.
takes over the room when she walks in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he just doesn't need that sort of distraction right now. So he's mad for a lot of reasons, but most of all, he's mad at the fact that he finds her irresistible and he doesn't have time for that at that moment in his life.
And I like the fact, and Marlena, feel free to jump in. I also like the fact that after, guys, after he meet her, and that part was funny too. Like after she finally get all the way out the car, he kind of do this slow, like, from the leg on up, and it was just like, and so when he saw the total package, it was like, oh man, like what? But then the banter between he realized he had met his match, because it was like she was trying to be nice and personable, but he said something, and she gave him like a little quick little one liner that he knew right then, like okay, she don't play with her.
He really
Look at like she is not to be played with. Okay,
she wasn't like she literally, she's talking about the space, because the issue is that there's a blackout in town. She had rented out a suite so that she could have a lot of space, because she's a dressmaker.
Yeah.
She's making this wedding dress, this bespoke wedding dress for an actress, and she needs space, to be able to do everything she needs to do.
Yeah.
Blackout happens. There's nowhere for her to go, because
nowhere, guys.
Is blacked out, as well as the hotel has to be evacuated because it's now a safety issue in some regards. So she this is why it's sort of an emergency that she gets to hang out at Jacob's house and his log cabin, not really the main house. But she, when from a city perspective, she's thinking like she's going somewhere like this little house on the prairie house, right? This little tiny little very rural space, and she walks in and finds this, like, I think I call it a wooded palace,
right? It's like massive,
and she's like really impressed. She's like, wow, this is really nice. I wasn't expecting it, to look so chic and and he's like, he's really sarcastic about it, like, I'm glad it meets your approval or what have you. And she just like, it's because he had been like throwing subliminals
right,
the whole time that they
like
had met. And she was just like, I'm really tired about this. I'm really tired about this man's mouth. So she turns around and she tells him, you know what, you're an asshole and this is not gonna work. and that sets the tone for their relationship. She's like, I will find someplace else. I don't care where I have to be. But this right here.
But I'm not about to do this with you.
Right.
I'm not gonna do this with you.
and that really, like, I have had those moments in my life. I think we all have, but when you're someone like me who doesn't have a high tolerance for nonsense, like I really don't, stuff like that happens to me all the time. Or my mom will ask, like, why aren't you going to such and such's event? I'm like, nope, I'm gonna stay my butt right here in my house, because I already know if I go over there, it's gonna be some junk, and then I'm gonna be aggravated, and I don't want to be aggravated, so I'm gonna just stay here. And that's kind of Keely's perspective. Like, I'm not gonna let you aggravate me over some stuff I didn't even do anything to you. Like,
guys, if you are just joining us, I am hanging out with Marlena, book blogger, as well as author LaQuette. Guys, we are talking about her latest release, Designs on a Rancher. You guys know how we do it here. If you have a question or something that you want to make sure that we talk a little bit about, put it in the comment section. We'll be sure to include you as well. And I want to let y'all know that Shay Baby is in the house. Thank you so much, Shay, for joining us on
how
today.
you doing? I love you, girl.
One of her faves as well. And one thing that I did like the fact that you brought her because she's a Brooklyn native. You brought that with her because that was a part of her personality. And I like the fact when she was, she kept mentioning, because I'm from Brooklyn, so she was like, so I don't want y'all thinking that I'm really kind of happy-go-lucky about going to somebody's house. I don't know this guy. So she kind of side-eyed him too, because even though he got all this money, all this land, she's still like, okay, I don't know him. And we out in the middle of nowhere. I'm from the city. Okay, who these people be?
And that is a very valid point. I mean, as a fellow Brooklynite, certain places I'm going, I think it's by nature of Black folks everywhere across the diaspora. When we're going somewhere that we're unfamiliar, one of the first questions we ask is who all gonna be there, and and we do that because we need to know what kind of energy we're about to walk into. So she's questioning the actress who is also her friend,
right,
about this guy. She's like, look, you got me up here driving in the woods. It's nothing. Because, when you're in New York, I live in the Pocono Mountains, and I've been here for about almost 7 years now. And coming from Brooklyn to the Pocono Mountains, one of the main differences that I recognized was a lack of lighting in the streets at night. And when you're from New York, there are street lights everywhere, right? Even though it's dark, it's never dark enough that you can't see your surroundings. Everything is always well illuminated. And so coming here, like when you're driving on the interstate from New York to Pennsylvania, there's a point when you get a little almost to the border of Jersey into Pennsylvania, where there's complete darkness. So you're driving probably for about 30 minutes of this 2-hour drive in absolute blackness. When I moved here, I had a cute little Chevy Cruze, and I probably just purchased that car in January. We moved here probably sometime in October. I did not know where the high beam switch was in my car because I never had to look for it because I was driving in New York when I bought the car. And then I'm on the road and I'm blind now. And I'm like, who decided that lights, being able to see the road was a luxury? Like, who decided that this was not a safety concern? I don't understand what happened in the city planning that this was not, no one made. Because again, as a New Yorker, I'm used to being able to see everywhere I'm going, regardless of what time of day it is. And so for Keely, that's her experience, like driving in this space. It's one of the reasons why, like, I've come in my older age, I don't really drive outside of where I am anymore. If I'm going out, I will get a ride share, or I'll get a car, a service car, something like that. But I don't drive a lot in places I'm not familiar with because I can't take that switching back and forth between how different some areas are. And being in that for her, she's coming out there, her car, she's got this big old SUV, it's white pearl, right? She's driving in the dirt. And that's the thing that Jacob first notices, like, what fool is driving in all this dirt in a pearl
white car?
SUV. Big old pearl white car. Like, what is wrong with her? Like, who does that? But that's just how she is. She stands out in everything. So when she's seeing all this, it's culture shock for her.
Right.
It's okay, y'all said this was fine, but this don't look fine to me. So now I'm really worried about this cat you got me like going to hang out with, stay with, because it's nothing out here but him and his land. So, Brooklynites, we like when I walk into a space, I'm counting the exits. I need to know where I can get out if some stuff pop off. Like that, I don't care what you say, it's just a natural thing when you come from a place like New York. And so if you got me up in this big behind space, I never understand how, scary movies, because I'm like, who told you? Why would you walk up in that in the first place? Because I've seen it and been like, deuces, I'm out. I'm going back to wherever it was I came. This is not my comfort zone. And that's sort of what the experience that she's having. She really, like, as a Brooklynite, that is culture shock. No, we do not deal in areas like that. And so to be with, especially when you're with someone you don't know anything about, and she doesn't know anything about this man. So she's like, I don't know how this is really going to work. And my friends are telling me everything is going to be fine. But I don't know if I trust my friends right now. We about to see really how good of, how good our friendship really is, because I don't know about this. I feel like it's a setup.
Now, LaQuette and Merlana, let's talk about, and that's a good lead into to this about these friendships. I definitely want to talk about the friendships in the book. But before we talk about their friendships, let's talk about the chemistry between the two of them when they start feeling each other out and starting getting to know each other. First point. So guys, remember we told you he kind of likes his space, but however, even though he kind of have his grumpy ways, he really is like a good dude. He really is like a stand-up guy. Like he really appreciate his employees. Matter of fact, like at the end of the day, is it on Friday, whatever day it is, at the end, he can cook too, guys, but he cooks for his staff. Okay, so how about he's cooking for his staff? But guess who he think about? He think about Keely. And he fixes her a plate, guys. He fixes, and then at the same time, he like, really, if I don't really like her, why am I fixing her a plate? Why am I fixing her a plate? But when he takes the plate over there, because she kind of, even though guys, like I said, she was checking him out too. They both was like, ooh, like even though she was like he being a jerk right now, she did recognize how fine he was and attractive and sexy and all that good stuff. Okay, so let's talk about when he takes this plate over there.
Well,
yeah, I actually was gonna say, so I actually have that part highlighted in the book here, because he has an attitude himself. Like he invites her to come eat dinner with him, and then she doesn't show up. So he trying to act like he not noticing that she's not there, but he notices that she's not there. So he bothered. So he put her plate in the refrigerator, whatever, takes it to her. But when she says something about how society looks at her and they think that people who are, because she is on the thick side, she a thick girl. And so she's like, society says that she's overweight because she's lazy or doesn't work out or whatever. And then he had the nerve to say something like, where I'm from, that's called healthy. I was like, take it right now, Jacob. Take it right now. Forget
I was like,
okay. That and there's another scene at the I think toward the end where she's with her girlfriends where they're talking about body positivity basically, and how certain things in the Black community and the Black culture are celebrated more, and larger bodies are celebrated more in Black culture. And I can remember like literally at different times when I have decided I wanted to lose weight for whatever the reason was. I can remember like my family members being like, you better not get too skinny. Like you won't be walking around here looking like you sickly. Like don't do that. And that's not no shade on our thin sisters and people out there. I'm just saying that's how Black people respond, because to us to be our bodies are larger, that means we're healthy. And so we don't really share a lot of the same issues that other races have with respect to like weight and how we perceive in the body, how we perceive our body image. And and not that Keely she doesn't have a problem with her weight. The issue that the reason she's bringing that up is because she actually doesn't eat as much as regularly as she should, because she's so busy with work and she gets caught up with her designs. And he comes in bearing this plate and she's like, oh, you must have some sort of second sense. I really haven't had the chance to eat all day. Thank you. And that leads to the conversation.
That was also, and I don't know if you and Merlana, well, you wrote it, but I don't know if Merlana took it the same way. That was also a connection, because he was like, wait a minute, I'm not the only one that works so hard I forget to eat. For him, he was like, wait a minute, her and I, we kind of function the same way a little bit.
It was a moment for them to bond, but it was a moment for them to both see that they had commonalities. Yeah. But it was also a moment for them to bond. One, for him to tell her that he ain't quite bothered about her size. Like, that's not his issue. Whatever she's had to face in the past, that wouldn't be an issue with him. but
Yeah.
two, just the fact how they banter with each other while she's eating. All right, like
Yes.
he's good with the subliminals, and he's always like throwing some snarkiness at her, and she's like, you know what? I'm pretty sure that whatever you saying is, probably not cute, but this food is so good, I'm gonna let it slide. I ain't even gonna pay attention to
Right.
you
She was like,
right
I'm gonna
now.
let that slide.
I'm gonna let it slide. And that is the sort of the tension sort of flowing out of the situation where they're actually getting to know each other as people.
Yes.
And he's starting to realize that, hey, I mean, part of the reason he goes over there, subconsciously, is because he really is interested in her, but two, because he takes care of his staff because his staff takes care of him. And so
Yeah.
he's a very nurturing person by nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be very weird for him. And his mother has like hospitality grilled into him,
Yes.
like really drilled into his personality. So like, even when comes over, he's like, go get the bear, where it is. But and Trip asking him this, he says no, but of course he's going to let Trip do it because that's his
Yeah.
friend and he's going to take care of his friend. And then even though Keely is getting on his nerves and her presence just disturbs his peace, he's still like, she's on his land, which makes him responsible for her in
Yeah.
his mind. So he's like, you know what, if my mama was here and she knew I cooked and she knew that I didn't know if this girl ate or not,
Right.
and I didn't go ask if she want or offer her some
Exactly.
food, it would be a problem. So let me just
Right.
get up and do what my mama told me, so I don't have to hear no mess in
But
my
LaQuette, he was
head.
almost like, okay, let me utilize my home training because cause my mama would
Right.
get me if she. Yes.
It's true. And so it was part, interest, but also part his natural home training to be able to
Yeah.
do, to be able to go over there, and then when he sees that she hasn't eaten, that she's been working all day, that she's literally eating saltines when he walks in.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, nah, we can't have that. Here's all this food that you really probably you're not gonna be able to finish, but I'm gonna make sure you're good for the night. And you'll see he's always thinking of her in that way, and she reciprocates in ways that are likely to her. Like, she's not a big time cook, but she
Right.
does little things for him to show him that she's
Yeah.
thinking of him as well.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I enjoy too about the story is the way that it like unfolded. And it seemed like as we got deeper into the scenes, you could see for both of them like the layers kind of pulling back slowly. Because both of them kind of had they had some issues with past relationships, and especially for him because of his work ethics. Like, guys,
Mm-hmm.
as LaQuette said earlier, he had some things that he wanted to do, some goals and stuff for the ranch, big things that was happening or what have you, that took a lot of his time. And some of his girlfriends in the past, they couldn't understand that. It was like, you don't got time to go to dinner, you don't got time, for them that was like a major issue. So for him, he was like, you know what, I can't really be in having a partner right now because I'm so focused. And so that was one of his walls, like, you know what, I don't have time for that. And then for her, the same thing. She had goals and things that she's trying to do with her company, her design company, and all of this stuff. And major deals are happening for her. So it was like the same thing. She was like, I don't really have time for that. It's about my work right now. And for both of them, over time, you started seeing where it was almost like they was battling with self, because they did kind of catch like, this guy could be pretty cool, or this girl could be pretty, like she could be pretty cool, or what have you. Marlena, what was your take on that, of how the layers begin to like unfold for them?
Yeah, I was gonna say I really appreciated the development, the relationship over the course of the story, just because in the beginning they seemed so different, but if you think about it, they were really the same. I mean, different aspects of them were of course different, but they were like the same. And so it was cool to see two people who felt like relationships isn't for me. This person is absolutely not for me because he's over here and I'm over here. But
Right.
really and truly, they ended up wanting the same things, needing the same things. They were like the same person, but different.
I'm so appreciative that you all picked that up, because I really, oftentimes when we are so resistant to things, and I know I found this about myself, when I'm so resistant to things, I can't see the big picture. I can only see the thing I'm resistant to and why I don't want to be bothered with it. And one of the things my husband has been really great about over the course of our relationship is really showing me that it's okay to have an open mind about certain things. Like, here's what could happen if you tried this thing. You don't have to commit to it. You can just sort of try it and see if it's something that would work for you. And the thing is, when you are on the come up, anyone who's ever been on the come up, you're trying to focus on whatever that come up is, whether it's a professional goal or a personal goal. Initially, to get it all together, it takes so much mental energy to invest in it, just to get you to that point where you are gaining momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And any type of distraction can really derail that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where
Mm-hmm.
both Keely and Jacob are. They have
Yeah.
so much going on, and they're just at the precipice of reaching that next level of success, unlocking that next
Mm-hmm.
level and their goal achievement, that they know that they can't take their eyes off the prize. But here's this really wonderful person who not only gets it, right, but because a lot of people say, oh, I get it, but then they're calling you every 5 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to have a friend who would tell them, I write during this time of day and I can't be on the phone with you because I got to do work. And she's, yeah, okay. And then would call me consistently
It's
at
like
that time. And so I was just like, yeah, a lot of people say that they can, they understand, they relate, and they don't need all of that attention, but it doesn't always work out that way. And Jacob
mm-hmm.
especially has had scenarios where he's not a player, right? He's not,
Right. Yeah.
trying to collect partners like, chess pieces or what have you. That's
Right.
not his perspective. He just doesn't want to disappoint anyone again. And every time he
Yeah.
gets involved in a committed relationship, he ends up disappointing his partner because his partner wants something that he can't give, which is
Yeah.
his attention. And I'm not gonna be mad because I'm an attention whore. Like, if I walk into a room and my husband does not act like, the Queen of England has walked in, I'm asking him if he got an attitude. You got a problem? Did I do something to you? What's wrong? Like, acknowledge me when I when you see me, right? So I get I get that flip side of wanting your partner to pay
Yeah.
attention to you like that. But it can be really difficult to sort of balance all of that. And so I love the fact that he is a man that is saying, hey, like, because a lot of times I hear women, when we talk about, male female relationships, that, oh, we want this, we want that, and we can understand, we just need communication. And then when a man tells us something and he's communicating this with us, we still, is like, oh, I can change that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to change for me. And you really have to believe people for who they tell you and show you they are,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that Jacob is so upfront. He's like, this is who I
Mm-hmm.
am. This is what my
Yeah.
focus is right now. I think you're really cool, and I would love to spend time with you, but I can't give you the attention that you're probably going to want and the
Yeah.
attention that you definitely deserve. So I think I should
Yeah.
probably just stay away, maybe.
Guys, if you are just joining us, I'm hanging out with Arthur LaQuette and Merlana, guys, book blogger, excuse me. We are talking about LaQuette's latest release, Designs on a Rancher. Of course, we will be sharing with you of how you can get your hands on a copy of this amazing read, book hangover worthy. I'm just going to let you guys know that as well. Of course,
Thank
if you
you.
have a question or a comment that you want us to include, put it in the comment section. We'll be sure to include you as well. LaQuette, I also enjoyed, we're going to talk about the vulnerability of both of them. And then I want to talk about their friendships, their friends as well. But that was a part that I liked too, is that they both, as those layers that we talked about earlier was slowly coming down, they both had like a set of vulnerability with each other, that they even like shared stuff that they didn't perhaps share with anybody else, but they got into like a groove where it felt comfortable and it felt right. And for the two of them, that was not like the easiest thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But they found that like in each other. And I think one of the places is, when they first went on their little trip, and we ain't gonna go into the details about that. But even when it started off about the horse, even the horse that he paired her with, I mean, he's like, guys, let me just tell you, Jacob is just like the man, okay? I mean, even the horse that, and even did y'all catch, now I caught this, she got a little jealous, when he was like caring for the horse. I said, look at her. Look at her.
She was mad. Her and the horse had this. She and Tildy had this little, between them of who Jacob loved more. But he definitely, again, city girl here, and I haven't done a whole bunch of horseback riding in my life, right? So I've probably the last time Kiwi was on a horse was at her high school trip, like to whatever ranch they went to, and that was probably the last time I was on a horse too. So
okay.
So I get, that definitely came from within, and how scary that can be, because horses are very large, powerful animals. They're beautiful, but you have to respect, their heft, their strength, their speed, and their temperament. You have to really respect that. And so she's like, hell to the no. I don't really think this is gonna work. And he takes the time to find her. Like the perfect horse for her and her temperament, and the fact that she was a little nervous, and giving her a horse that was very gentle, and teaching her what she needed to do to be able to guide the horse. And I love the way he treats his horses when he talks to Tildy. It's him showing that gentler side of him, because he's kind of rugged and grumpy. But he does have this very gentle side when it comes to taking care of people or animals.
That too.
And she's like, if he takes this kind of care with this, with this creature, this gentle, beautiful creature, then what would he do? She starts questioning, how would that look if he took care of me? And he continues to do that over and over again. They get stuck they get stuck out onto the land because they have to go check on the transformer. He takes care of her. He fixes her food, tells her to shower, has extra clothing there. He always makes sure that she can be comfortable. And he's like, even when they become intimate and they're moving like into his house, he's still making sure that she's comfortable and taken care of. And so that, I think, to have that sort of invitation, it's one thing to be someone's sexual partner, but it's a totally different thing to feel invited into their space. And so, and that's another reason why, she displays a kind gesture for him, and it has to do with, taking care of his space and giving him a nice like time to sort of decompress and relax at home. And that's all very intentional. I mean, even when she's talking to the salesperson about the items she needs to buy, it's very intentional about what kind of environment she wants to create for him, to make sure she's not disturbing his peace, but adding to it.
Exactly. Merlana, you want to add anything to that?
So it surprised me, because once I got towards the end of the book, and even when the guy who he was doing business with was saying how, he had a sensitive side and he felt like that worked with what he was trying to do, it just surprised me, because I was like, okay, so how much of this is Jacob like a defense mechanism, him being so grumpy and mean, because he really was like the sweetest person in the entire book. Like how he paid to the smallest detail. He was just really sweet. But the fact that Keely too, when she, did her nice gesture for him, it's like she was paying attention to him just as much as he was paying attention to her. And the things that
Yeah.
people didn't do for them previously in relationships, they kind of did for each other. So I don't know. He was just so sweet. Like, he's bae, honestly. Like, he's my bae.
I love big softies. I love people. I love, as a course of attraction, I love men who are just big, and grumpy to the outside world, but very, sweet and gentle, to the people they care about. And I tend to write a lot of those guys. I don't, one of the hardest things in the world has been for me to switch from writing men like that to having to write more of an alpha hero for the Presents line that the stories that I'm going to be writing for Presents. And part of it is because I really I don't respond well to assholes. I don't. And so having a hero that's talking smack to you, I don't necessarily find that attractive. So, writing someone like Jacob, I think he straddles that line because he definitely has that very forceful energy to let you know that he's in control of his surroundings. But at the same time, he doesn't OD on it. Like, his identity is not wrapped up in him being this egomaniacal control freak.
Yes. Guys, if you are just joining us, hanging out with author LaQuette and Marlena on today, guys, talk about LaQuette's latest novel, Designs on a Rancher, which is an amazing read, by the way. And Marlena, I want to go back to something that you mentioned when he was at they went to the Texas Cattleman Club. They had he had to meet the guy that he was doing business with, but he asked Keely to be his date, which was a great move, by the way. And when he got there, or when they were sitting and we were eating dinner, the guy that they were meeting, he noticed that, but he told Jacob, he was like, I saw what you did. He was like, you definitely had them in the bag. I saw how you are with the animals. Your ranch is, immaculate, blah, blah, blah. He said, but this is what sealed it. When I saw you and her, and guys, they at this time they're not even like an official couple.
They're not an official couple.
Yeah, it's right. But this guy, he could see. I mean, first of all, I think a blind person could have saw that. I mean, the chemistry, guys, between the two of them at this point. But he was like, but that right there, he was like, that kind of sealed the deal for him, just to see his reaction and hers too, guys, because she ended up spilling her water because he said she ended up spilling her water. But I even like how she was herself. Because the guy that he was doing, he loved that. Because he was like, I mean, remember, she was eating her food. She was talking, the conversation she was giving as good as it got. I mean, Keely she was perfect. I love that. But that part, I did notice that in the read. I was like, even other people are seeing, wow, this is some strong chemistry between the two of them. Marlena, you have anything to say, or LaQuette, about that scene?
I think that was just another way of showing how they were just good for one another, because where he kind of struggled with small talk with people because he wasn't about small talk, like, let's just get to the point. I got stuff to do. So, he used her because she is a personality that people are just attracted to. So for him to recognize, okay, let me have her go with me to kind of act as a buffer. It was just cute. I loved it so much.
And I think for me, one of the things I loved about one of the intentions was for him he thought he was taking her just to be a buffer because, she would be able to help him entertain and fill in those gaps where socially it just wasn't his strong suit. But he wasn't taking her to be a buffer. He was really taking her to be his sort of support system, his cheering section, the person that's telling him, you've got this, right? And he doesn't understand that, right? He doesn't he doesn't consciously understand that, but that really is what's happening. He doesn't he really wants her there because she soothes something in him when she is with him that makes him feel more like himself and more able to share himself with people on the outside. Even you see it when he and his his staff are joking. Matt is his foreman, I think is the man's name, and how he, he's always joking with him and talking to him, and he's grumpy with Matt as well. But even Matt notices how calm Jacob becomes once Keely, comes in and joins the conversation
Right.
and finds them. Like he just mellows out. He's all of a sudden bearable to be around, and that is the thing. Like she really gives him the opportunity to really feel like he can let his guard down and be himself and not
Yeah.
have to worry about being vulnerable with her, because deep down somewhere he knows she's got him.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that. Thanks for bringing that out, LaQuette. And speaking of that, we got to talk about Matt. Matt was like hilarious. Matt is like that best friend that like get on your nerves, but you love him. And the fun look, and I like when Jacob would describe stuff, he'd be like, "Oh, that's what we calling it. Oh, is that what we calling it?"
Because Jacob was trying his best to keep this like very like compartmentalized. Right?
Low key,
he really did not want Keely to take over his life or whatever this thing was. Like he really was trying to minimize it so much. One, because he really was afraid to have to give into it and what would happen if it overwhelmed him. And two, because he knows he's going to lose it at the end of this predetermined time. Like she's only supposed to be in town for a few weeks.
Right.
How's that going to work? Right. So for him, it's all about protecting himself, protecting his mind, but also protecting his heart, because he's really starting at this point. He's like, I think after this scene, but prior to this scene, he shares with her how the name of how he came up with the name of his branch, which is a really personal story. That really talked about past traumas for him and how out of that hurt was born something beautiful. And he's able to share that with her. It's also my ability to throw in Black history and make it fun, because I always, whatever I write, I always have to let folks know that Black folks was here. We've been doing this. We've been doing this and we've been new. So now it's time for you to know. And so it was a little opportunity for me to throw that in there and really share some Black cowboy history, and basically a little bit of history about how the West really was explored, and the role that Black cowboys played in that. But for them, it really is a moment that he is sharing one of his deepest, most vulnerable moments in his life, and he chooses her to share that with.
And for me, I was like, that's huge. For me, that was one of those moments. Like I was like, ooh, this is huge right here. He's kind of So thank you for doing that and sharing that for me, LaQuette. I'm sure with Marlena as well. Guys, if you're just joining us, we are talking about Designs on a Rancher. Let me just tell you, it's just all kind of goodness in this book. This is one of those books that literally from the cover to the very last line, it's just an amazing read. It is definitely one of those reads that you will want to keep turning the pages as well. You're gonna laugh a little bit. There's some moments that pull at your heartstring. You are rooting for them. I know I was rooting for Jacob and Keely like all the way. I was like, oh my goodness. There's some points in there where I was like, okay, Keely, I'm gonna need you to get it together, girl, because really, I'm gonna need you to get
Keely is a mess.
This guy right here is a good dude.
Keely is a mess, and that's the thing. Like people often think that only a dude that's not really about anything can mess up your life. And the truth of the matter is that is very true. But a good man can mess up your life too. So, and in a good way. I mean,
in a good way.
He really she has to rethink everything about her life. This business of hers, and it's one of the reasons the book ends the way it ends with them not making any real determination about who's going where. It's like,
Yeah.
that's arbitrary stuff. We're going to
Yeah.
figure that out eventually.
Mhm.
We just need to be
To know that we're gonna be together.
and because she really has so much to rethink
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of her interaction with this man and how impactful it's been over such a short amount of time. Like 3 weeks is not a lot of time, but in that 3 weeks of being basically forced into a situation where they're in each other's face every day, all day,
Yeah.
it really allows her to see that, you know what, I can get my work done, but I can make room for this man too.
Yeah.
And I think I actually want to do that. So now I got to
Oh
figure
man,
out how to make that
LaQuette,
happen.
I was just about to say that, and the want to, because all along in the other stuff, it was like, she had the choice, but for this one, consciously saying, I want to make
Right.
space for this other individual. So, oh my goodness, glad that you said that as well. Marlena, before we go, can you share with us any last thoughts or anything that you want to share about your overall experience in reading Designs on a Rancher? And then I will let LaQuette share with us what she enjoyed about writing Designs on a Rancher. Marlena?
So overall, I'll just say you did that. And
Thank
I
you.
am one who, I read a lot of different types of books, but Black romance is really just it just what comforts me. Like, I've been reading it for a long time. And the fact that you wrote the book and it included our culture and Black mamas, and you better wash your hands before you go in my refrigerator.
Absolutely.
I'm like, girl, we all got the same mama. We really got the same. But, you just showing the sweet side of somebody who everybody thinks is rugged, and then, making it so that she didn't have to compromise her career to have a man and to be able to get a man who really cared about her. I just loved how you wrote this book. And honestly, I appreciate you for it.
Well, thank you. I mean, here's the thing. Whenever I write, and regardless of who I pair my heroines with, because I write exclusively Black heroines, the heroes are not always Black, but I do write exclusively Black heroines. And when I write a story about a Black woman falling in love, I want people to understand that I'm coming from the perspective that everyone loves us. And that is how I'm going to write this story, that this man, and a friend of mine, Adriana Herrera, she said it to me best. She was like, if dude is not ready to take a bullet for her 5 minutes after meeting, I don't want the story. And I'm like, that's it. That's exactly it. Like, that is it. My dudes are all in the moment they meet her. And because everything about her is so wonderful and lovable and desirable, that they can't help but, even against their own conscious choices, they can't help but fall for her. And especially when we're talking about larger bodied women, we oftentimes, like, I started writing plus size women because I read a book where literally I couldn't understand why the hero was with the heroine. She didn't love herself, and he didn't really seem to be all that enthused by her either, because I think he says something to the effect in his head, to the effect of, she'd be cute if she lost a couple of pounds. And I was just like, I'm out. Like, I don't even want to read this anymore. Like, I'm mad. So I never want to write a story, especially with a Black plus size heroine, where the hero isn't absolutely smitten from the moment they meet, because she deserves that kind of love. And there are people out here loving us like that. And so I work really hard to dispel this imagery that Black women and Black plus size women are not lovable, are not desirable, are not worth the effort, are not worth treating with such devotion and care. I work really hard to disprove that. So a man like Jacob, for me, is a thrill to be able to write, because he really is, like, he's about his life and doing what he has to do and making his way in the world. And he's not going to let anyone walk walk all over him.
Right.
But he understands how to be strong, but also how to be tender with his partner.
Yeah.
And that her being able to do everything in the world does not mean that she should have to at all times.
Yes.
That she should be able to have moments where someone takes care of her. And that's where we see him taking food to her. That's where we see him, you know, checking in to make sure she's okay. That's when we see him just really doing his best to try to show her, even if he doesn't really have the words or the understanding at that point in their
Right.
relationship,
Mhm.
that she is special and meaningful to him. And I also work very hard to dispel a lot of the negativity around plus size women.
Mhm.
Like, one of his pet name for her is thickness.
Yes.
And they get into a conversation where she makes some sort of a statement about,
Yeah, and
you
they're
know, where
like, you let him
he's
call you thickness?
Right.
yeah, and you know, because and it didn't come up where he was just like, oh, thickness. Is
Right.
that
No, it's
she
it's
made
a
some
whole
sort of
vibe,
an
guys.
analogy,
It's a whole
right?
vibe.
She makes some sort of an analogy
Yeah.
telling him like, you act, you know, you look like I just want to make sure your eyes are not bigger than your belly. Like, you haven't bitten off more you can chew. And he was like, are you really asking me if I can handle you? Like, is that the question? And so he continues with the same line, and he's like, I like my meat thick, brown to perfection.
Yes.
And tells her, come here, thickness. And
Yes.
that was born out of the fact that I had a conversation with some friends, writer friends, and many of them who were from other cultures were like, they would be offended by being called thickness. And so I thought it was a really good opportunity to show the differences in culture, but also
Yeah.
explain how something like that may be seen as a pejorative in other cultures was actually a Black man embracing this woman and all that she was. And even she and her girlfriends have a conversation about it later, because one of her girlfriends is non-Black
Yeah.
and didn't really understand it. And they have this
Right.
conversation where she explains what thickness really means.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity again to explore this idea that everything about a Black woman is wonderful, no matter what her size is, no matter how deep or light her skin, no matter how short or
Yeah.
long or textured or curly her hair is, whatever the package is, like, she is just fabulous and should be
Yeah.
loved to perfection and with dedication. So
Yeah.
it really touches me that you all are so excited about this book, because I really wanted, I've read so many books. You know, we grew up on romance. Those of us that grew up on romance, we know that in the beginning there wasn't a whole lot of diversity, right? We didn't get the opportunity to read about us until very recently. And
Mhm.
before that, you always got to see women from every other background being treated as if they were beautiful, as if they were delicate, as if they were
Mhm.
desirable, to the point that men would lose their absolute minds over being with them. I
Mhm.
mean, it could be called toxic, but whatever. The point of it, however you feel, whether it's toxic or not, the point of it was to show just how absolutely out of control this woman, this desire that this man had for this woman, made him, that sometimes bordered on irrational.
Mhm.
And we never got to see
Mhm.
ourselves in those roles. And so I am writing to make sure that like, I have a niece who is 6 years old, and I want her to understand that when she decides to pick up a romance novel and read it, I
Yeah.
want her to be able to see the absolute joy and dedication that my men have for their women. And so that she can see, hey, if I decide that a guy is for me, like, this is how he's got to treat me. My auntie said this is how he's got to treat me, and I'm rolling with that.
I love that. Well, LaQuette, thank you so much for bringing us such amazing stories. And of course, this is Women's History Month, and the theme is celebrating women who tell our stories. So we celebrate you on today, LaQuette. Thank you for bringing us these stories and bringing to light this, adding a little bit of history and stuff in there. I absolutely enjoyed this book, guys. If you have hung out with us today here at the cafe, I hope you enjoyed our conversation about Designs on a Rancher. It is available where books are sold. It's available in print and ebook. Of course, after you've read it, definitely leave a review. I know that author LaQuette will be so appreciative of that
I would be.
as well. That's our time. Look, LaQuette, the time goes by so fast. I have enjoyed this conversation as well. So, guys, go out and get a copy of Designs on a Rancher. Marlena, I'm going to allow you to share with us, how can we stay connected with you, my friend?
So I am on Instagram. I am facts from fiction, facts underscore from underscore fiction. And yeah, I just share my love of mostly Black romance, but reading books all together.
Awesome.
I love that. Uh-oh. How they with you and what you have going on next.
If you want to connect with me, you can reach me at LaQuette.com. All my socials are there, as well as email contact. You could even email me directly at LaQuette@LaQuette.com. I am currently working on book 2 to Vanessa Jarrett's Got a Man, which is Janae Sanders' second time around. It's going to be fun. I am also working on Black royalty stories for Harlequin Presents, and that focus on a set of twins who are each going to find their kings, literally, like their literal kings.
Exciting. I love that. I love that. Well, guys, make sure you're following Marlena. Make sure you are following author LaQuette as well. Go get you a copy if you haven't already of Designs on a Rancher. Hey, go and get a copy of Vanessa Jarrett's Got a Man. Any of LaQuette's books from her backlist as well. And again, like I said, LaQuette and Marlena, it has been amazing hanging out with you guys, spilling a little bit of tea about Designs on a Rancher. Guys, until next time, as we always say, have an amazing day, because we're having an amazing day. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.